Welcome to another episode of Chestnut Conversations. Today I have a special guest, Mark Saliterman. Most people know Mark as the man behind the bank, Vision Bank. But Mark, who were you before the bank?
Well, it depends how far back you want to go.
Let's go all the way back.
Started out as a bartender, actually, illegally bartending at the age of 16. Ended up going to college a couple of times, a couple of different degrees, and ended up being a CPA at one of the big national CPA firms.
How did you like being CPA? Did you enjoy it, or you found it like a little boring, or what's your take on it?
Well, the CPA things were pretty good. Great learning grounds, foundation. I was involved in the tax department only. Learned a lot of business from there and a lot about real estate. I was able to get involved with the computers back in the early 70s. And even in high school, I went to the University of Minnesota for high school, so I got to use computers when I was 13, 14 years old.
Okay,
Computers were a little different then. They were about the size of a warehouse for an itty-bitty computer. But learned a lot about business and taxes especially. Worked with huge companies, General Mills, Pillsbury, Fingerhut.
the biggest companies at the time.
Yes, Piper Jaffray, worked with the Cargill family, also Lutheran Brotherhood, and we did some special tax work for building a couple of big towers in Minneapolis, and that's where I learned a lot about taxes, real estate, and how it worked, and wanted to go forward with that and realized that all I have to do is take a few zeros off of those guys' projections and think a little smaller.
And so you decided to just go on your own and start your own business, or what was the transition from working for somebody else? And when was the moment you realized, like, well, I don't have to work for somebody else, I could do it?
I worked for somebody else for about 4 to 6 years, something like that. And then I became a partner in a CPA firm. I knew that I couldn't do what I wanted to do working for somebody else, so I became this partner in a CPA firm, and then that allowed me to not only do taxes for clients and make money and create a base for living, and then spend extra time figuring out how to really make money. That was real estate at that time, and as time went on, I progressed from real estate to all kinds of businesses that range from distribution of movies from Columbia and Paramount to designing eyeglasses and creating those in Japan and China. We created a company to build docks for marinas and built a couple of docks on the St. Croix. We built the docks at Treasure Island.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
And then we built some docks on Lake Minnetonka here for Irwin Jacobs. And I bought Afton Marina and Boom Site from Irwin Jacobs.
So you were part of these companies, but what do you do with them afterwards? So like what do you exit?
I enjoyed starting them and getting them going, but it wasn't as enjoyable as time went on because it got pretty boring. So we sold them or disbanded them, whatever, and moved on to the next thing.
Moved on to something else?
It's just fun to do transactions and create businesses and then move on to something else. Yeah.
So you don't like the routine?
No, I like things changing all the time and challenges, and I like fixing things that are broken. I remember one of my clients had a low voltage cabling company that was losing lots of money, and he turned it over to me. and I fixed it and made it profitable. And then I gave it back to him, and he broke it again. And he gave it back to me, and I fixed it again. And I gave it back to him, and then he gave it back to me for the third time. Finally, I gave it back to him, and it's still in business today.
So what was broken on it?
You know, there's several parts to a business. Of course, there's the sales part, and the creation of a product and or an idea. But I think the bigger problem is the administration part. Doing the accounting, knowing what to do, when to do it. You got to figure out your gross profit and what your bottom line's going to be, and then work it backwards. And salespeople don't have that background. They just think they can go and sell something. And one example was we had two sales guys that were in the low voltage cabling business, and they were great salespeople. And we started to do cabling for the city of Minneapolis, all the schools, huge jobs.
Nice contract.
Oh, yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean, you'd go into a school and cost $300,000-$400,000 to redo it and put in Cat 5 cabling everywhere. And so these guys were really good at selling. Pricing was okay. So it was a good fit. And they were earning probably close to $200,000. And they decided they didn't need me. And so they started their own company. Within, I believe, 6 months, they were bankrupt. And one ended up going nowhere and hasn't been heard of since. And the other guy, I think, is a real estate broker selling individual homes, you know, and they just never realized that there's more to a business than just sales.
So being a good salesman, it's not only thing could make you a good businessman.
No, it doesn't. You need to have a good team around you. You need a lawyer, you need a banker, you need a great accountant, and an insurance guy. That's your base team, and you got to know what to do and how to do it. And salespeople or inventors are very good at one specific thing, generally, but they don't bring all the puzzle pieces to the table. Yeah, that's just a disastrous result, generally. One of my best friends and partner was a great inventor. He couldn't deal with the administration, so between the two of us, we got along really well. I think we were together probably 40 years before he passed. He was like a dad to me, but he knew his limitations, and he realized that he needed help. And that's a good attribute to have, is to know when you need help.
So could you say he was one of your mentors as well? Or did you ever have a mentor when you started out, or you had to figure it out on your own?
No, actually, I was the mentor generally. I seemed to understand business pretty well, and people came to me to get mentored or solutions, and I didn't have anybody that I could go to ask questions of, or, I didn't have a mentor.
Not really. That's great.
Well, I could have used it. I'm sure I know I made a couple of real big mistakes over my career, and I probably could have used somebody to bounce it off of before I made that mistake. I didn't have very many people to go to, and even today, not very many people that I have the same knowledge that I would go to and ask their opinions.
Got it. It makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of opinionated anyway, so
what's the closest you come to losing it all? Like, there was a time like, well, you made a mistake and your business in tough spot, anything like that?
No, I never experienced that. Everything that I did would be more, if I lost the money, it was terrible, but it wasn't going to take me down. So I never bet it all on one project. And I loved partners. Even today, I love partners. It spreads the risk, brings people to the table to bounce ideas off of, and between the government and those partners, if something fails, the government gives you a refund and you share the risk with other partners so that your loss is not that great. Never experienced under the 8 ball, so to speak, yeah.
Okay, so partnership. What's the secret of a successful partnership? What do you look in a partnership to work? Is there a science?
Might not be very nice, but I'm looking for a partner who doesn't know how to talk. Just a silent partner. Don't need somebody to oversee me, and I don't want to spend the time educating a partner or that type of thing. Again, it might not be very nice, but I like them sharing in the risk and the reward, but I really don't want them involved in operations.
Yes, but that's a partnership when you're involved. But in general speaking, like if you see 2 people and they going into partnership and you could look at them and say, well, it's not going to go well. Or you can look at them and say, it's a good partnership and I think both parties will benefit.
From the CPA point of view, I didn't see very many partnerships that worked where both people were partners. Generally, there's conflicts. What I told people who wanted to be partners, 50-50 is generally what everybody seems to try to go and create. I said, then pick somebody who can break the tie and is not necessarily a friend to either one of you, but somebody who can give you the real answer. Get rid of the ego and get rid of all the things about right and wrong and things like that, and just focus on what's the right answer for the business. Generally, a lot of the partners get into pissing contests because they don't want to be wrong and they don't listen very well, and they fight, end up breaking up a partnership. A few do succeed, but most of them fail.
So is there a difference in partnership when it's a long-term partnership, like say you have a business that goes on and on, or limited partnership when we have a project, you finish and you're done? Is there a different success rate of partnerships like that?
Yeah, sure. The limited partnership is generally, for real estate and things like that. And generally there's a general partner that calls the shots and goes forward with that. And those work very well. I mean, very successful in real estate. And the way you create those real estate partnerships is generally somebody's got a good idea and the other one has the money, or, they share and that type of thing. But the business, the operation type of partnership is unusual to get 2 partners that work together well. And that includes where they're related, like 2 brothers, or family members. A lot of issues in those types of things that are more than just the business, because now it becomes personal and family gets involved and things like that. But 2 strangers, it can work. Hopefully one of them is dominant and the other one says, you know what, I'll live with the fact that the other partner knows what he's doing and he's making me money, and I'll just do what I'm supposed to do and not get in his face.
So ego could get in the way sometime. What's the best way to take it out of equation? If you to mediate 2 person who's in partnership and it's like pissing contest right now, what do you got to tell them? Or that's it, they have to close the shop?
Start with one buys out the other. That's probably the easiest way. You could do a participation where one sells out and gets a percentage of the profits over time. And sometimes it ends up where you just have to close the business. When it's a service business, Those generally are easier to shut down and each one go their own way and split up the customer list or whatever. But the other ones can be pretty bloody in the end, and you get attorneys involved and then no one wins. And so I think it's better to try and work it out. The best thing for partnerships is to sit down and really go through how you're going to deal with a problem. Buyouts, options, different things up front before you become partners. So after you're partners, it's a little harder to make that agreement.
So have a good agreement going into partnership with all the clauses. That's ideal.
Ideal, yeah. And make sure that agreement covers the unexpected. Whatever you're thinking might happen in the business. We run out of money. We need to change locations. We disagree with this. The partners disagree with what they're doing. You want to hit all those ifs and what ifs. And what if the bank doesn't renew the loan? And who does what? Who guarantees the loan? I mean, it just goes on. And if that's covered in the agreement, you probably have a better chance of survival.
You as a banker, you're a businessman, you get deal pitched to you all the time. And what's the hardest no you had to say to someone when they proposed partnership or business, or you really wanted to do it and you didn't do it and it was really tough? And
I don't know if I can think of any of those. A hard no. I can certainly say no when it makes no sense, and it's not hard to say no. A guy wants to open up a coffee shop next to Starbucks, is single guy. It's easy to say no.
Right, but it's a hard no. Like you think, could be idea, but something tells you like no, and you're like, no, I really want to do it, but no.
No, I follow my gut pretty well, and if it's outrageous, it's easy to say no. If it's a hard no, meaning maybe I should say yes.
Yes.
I would probably try to figure out if I could somehow do it where I'm a partner. For example, right now there's a person that is going to open up a cannabis shop, and the bank won't be able to finance him, any bank, because of lack of capital and things. I like the guy. And he's got a license, but he doesn't know what to do with the license. I'm trying to figure out if I can be an investor and how I can control this guy so that...
partnership.
The partnership, so that so we succeed. And he has very little business experience. So a lot of these guys right now that are getting licenses, they've never owned a business. They don't know what they're doing. And they don't even know how to enter into a lease or what that lease should say. So that's where a partnership works really well with me, where I use my administrative skills. I don't want another job, so they can be in there and sell pot all day long.
So would you stay in business like that for a long time, or at some point you're going to say, well, I'm going to call it a day and quit and sell you part of the business? Or you like to keep a little stake in a different businesses?
Yeah, I don't mind staying as a partner if I don't have to, at some point, I get to not be so heavily involved. So we opened up a dog salon. And in the beginning, I had to get involved with the lease and the operations and the construction and things like that. And but after we're open, the person runs the salon, makes sure all the dogs are properly cared for, including mine. And I do all the administration. And she does all the operations, and we've been doing this for several years. And I think I see her, besides bringing my dog to her, I think I only see her like once every 6 months, and it works for both of us. I'm out of her hair, and She doesn't get involved in administration, which she doesn't know, but she knows how to train groomers and how to make dogs look fantastic. And that's a perfect partnership.
Banking, you're a banker. So is having a debt, is it good or bad?
I'm not really a banker. I'm a CPA and a business guy. I just own a bank.
You just own the bank. Okay.
Yeah. And
CPA, question to CPA. Is debt good or bad?
It's good. It's very good because I use my background to determine whether a loan should be made, both real estate and in business. And I get to use my gut to make sure that's happening. And our bank is about $270 million, and let's see, we're just going to be 20 years old now, but I think I got involved after 2 years, so it must be about the last 18 years that I've been really involved with the bank, looking at every loan. Our total loss over the last 18 years is less than $100,000.
Phenomenal.
Which is unbelievable, yeah.
If you consider what happened in the last 18 years.
Yeah, it's you just have to know business and not necessarily banking to make sure that a deal makes sense, there's enough equity in it, and we've been able to do that. If we get back a building that's a problem, I know how to sell it and recover as much as possible, and sometimes even a gain.
And make money.
You make money when you get a property back in certain circumstances, and we had that happen this year, actually. We took back a property and ended up making a couple $100,000 on the sale of it.
So what happened to previous owner?
I'm sorry?
What happened to the guy who lost it?
He lost it.
But he could have made money. He just didn't know the business, or he had other problems.
I think it was a lack of knowledge. He didn't know necessarily how to sell it, what he needed to do to get it into saleable condition, or didn't have the money to do it, and didn't realize necessarily that putting a little bit of money in would make more profit. In this circumstance, he didn't have the money to fix it up and then sell it. And so he was selling it as a disaster. When I took it over and I brought in people to fix it up, I was able to sell it as a fully rented property, or almost fully rented, maybe. But the reality is people don't like necessarily taking ugly ducklings and making them into swans, and my background has been just that. I look for the ugliest buildings, ones that nobody else wants, buy it at the lowest price possible, and then figure out how to change it into something else. And then the value goes way up.
So you have a lot of successful business, but is there any failures that you had in the past you could share? Like not a big one, but small ones, like, well, I tried this and it didn't work.
I'm sure there are many failures. Just have to sit here and think for a minute. They all come back to me. But I've got two of the biggest failures. I won't say haunt me, but as soon as you mention failure, they come to mind immediately. Kind of an interesting situation, and they both taught me a lot. First one was probably the best idea I ever had. We created a truck that would change the oil in cars wherever the car is. When people were opening up Jiffy Lubes and Rapid Lubes or whatever, they're spending, $800,000 on a building and equipment, and I figured out how to create a Ford Ranger fully equipped to change the oil, about $35,000 a car, so for $800,000, I could have 25 cars all over the cities, and hired some sales guys, and they went and got contracts from almost every big company, National Car Rental, Pillsbury, AT&T, all these companies that had big cars, fleets. We would go and change the oil. And we were charging about $5,000 or $6 more than if they took it to one of these dealerships. And we full service, and the contracts were coming in, and we thought we were going to be the biggest company, bigger than McDonald's.
Right.
I mean, we just believed this was going to be $1 billion company.
It's a great idea.
It was my best idea ever. We couldn't even keep up with the demands. We even had a company in North Dakota contact us to drive our rigs from here out to the basin and change oil, 500 gallons of oil in one of those big cats, and they got to change it frequently. So, I mean, our eyes were just wide open, and we're starting to count the money, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with a fleet of 10,000 trucks all over the country servicing cars. Our egos were so high. I mean, it was incredible. My brother was a partner, a silent partner, and his brother-in-law, and they were both silent, thank God. But anyway, and then the winter hit, and all our employees quit.
They all quit.
They all quit. They aren't going to work in the winter. They aren't going to go outside and change oil in the winter. Even if you somehow heat those things, they aren't going to get under the car or the truck. And my idea just bursted, I think, after 6 months of being in business. I could have taken that business to a different location that's warmer.
Just a different state. That was my idea.
Yeah. But my family was here. I was here. My other businesses were here. We just let it die.
But it's an excellent idea and a great story.
What it taught me was, don't count your money before it's in the bank. And I didn't consider every factor. I was blinded. So I was more cautious after that, thinking through all the what ifs. I missed one. The other bad experience, which was really bad, was doing a project with a general contractor that somehow I thought I was doing business with a small local general contractor, and it turns out they bought the business. The big contractor in Kansas City bought the business. They just screwed it up so bad that time delays, they lied about what they're qualified to do. The lesson I learned there is try not to do business with monsters.
But you didn't. You were lied to. So you were bought out through the process. So
I could have stopped it. As soon as I realized that they were not the small firm I was working with, I could have stopped, and I didn't. Because that was my first experience dealing with a big contractor, a national contractor. And I thought, he's a national contractor, he must know what he's doing. And the fact is, he was a complete idiot. And all of their subs and contractors, subcontractors didn't know what they were doing. And they tried to build a 60-unit condominium project that they had never built before, and the mistakes were incredible.
Is that what training on your project?
Yeah, and time delays, overruns, lawsuits.
You name it.
People not getting into their homes on time. And the big guy, they don't care. So I try not to do business with the big guys anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you see inside of hundreds of businesses, and there is a one trait you could say, well, that's a winner.
Needs a good idea, good concept, good product, and a good team. It goes all the way from the lawyer to the accountant to the banker, everybody. I mean, for it to work, you need everything. It's hard for some of the small guys that just get in business to realize that and or have the capital to make it work. And many of them don't want to be partners because they hear about what happens with partnerships, and they try to do it alone and fail. Some of them might succeed, but it's hard.
So if I were to ask you friends to describe Mark in 3 words, what do you think those 3 words would be?
Oh, I don't think I could. Probably a workaholic.
Workaholic?
Yeah, that's probably the only thing. I'd have to think about that for a while, but I think, I still work well over 40, 50 hours a week. And work is different for me. It's not necessarily sitting behind a table. It's thinking. It's going back and figuring out questions to ask and things. And I think that would be the workaholic. The other thing might be he doesn't sleep much.
What's your sleep hours?
I started bartending at a very early age when I was still in high school, and so I would bartend till, 10, 11 at night, and then drive home and sleep, and then get up for school. So I needed to be, at school at 7 o'clock, so pretty much sleeping 5-6 hours a day. I think that pretty much what I do now.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I go to sleep at maybe 10. I'm up at 2, go back to sleep for an hour, and I'm up at 4.
And 4, that's it. It's a final call.
Yeah, at 4, I'm sending emails, reading the electronic newspaper, and occasionally a few people who get my emails at 3:30 or 4 in the morning respond, and I'm going, "Why are you up?" And they go, "Why are you up?" But not too many respond to me at that hour. And but I get a lot of work done before everyone is up, so I get 3-4 hours of work, very quiet. Nobody responds.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of investment, like businesses, real estate. But what is the best investment that you made under $1,000?
Under $1,000. So I never invested in the stock market.
And it could be anything.
Yeah. Can I change it to $10,000?
Let's do $10,000.
Now we've got a good deal. The best deal was a piece of land that Vision Bank is on right now. I offered the guy a couple $100,000 for the lot. He turned me down because he was going to build a Ferrari building, a Ferrari franchise dealership there. I could never buy it, and all of a sudden I got a phone call from Hennepin County telling me that the piece of land next to my building was going to be sold by the Hennepin County, and there are only 2 buyers because the property was small enough it could only be sold to 2 adjacent property owners. And the other guy didn't really want the property, but I did. And so we bought that property. It went to auction, the 2 of us, and I think I paid $15,000 for it. And there wasn't much you could do with that property. But then there's a property that the city owned or Hennepin County owned adjacent to it. I asked them if they would sell it, and they said, sure, just pay us fair market value. So I looked at the $15,000 that I paid for the property next to it, and I told them that based on that, you should sell me your property for $10,000. They agreed, and I bought the other property for $10,000, and I put the 2 properties together, and that's where the bank is.
Wow.
On $25,000 worth of land, and the bank moved from 3 blocks down. I sold that property kind of under eminent domain for $3.5 million. I bought the land up the block for $25,000.
And you turned it into millions.
And I built the building and still had a lot of money left over. And so between the Hennepin County and the people buying for the light rail, I probably walked away with $1 million and a brand new building for the bank.
That's amazing.
That's probably the best deal I can think of.
This is a great deal. So Mark, like young entrepreneurs, is there any book that every entrepreneur should read that you recommend? So
I can't recommend anything because I haven't had a problem. My eyesight, one of my eyes doesn't see very well. I think they refer to it as lazy eye or amblyopia. And so because of that, if I were to read a book, I would fall asleep after a page or 2. So I have actually never read a book.
What about audiobooks?
No, never had the time. And of course, that was much later. They didn't create those when I was a student. So I never got into book reading. So I couldn't recommend a book because I've never read them.
Mark, you should definitely write one. And next time somebody asks you that question, you say, well, you got to read that book by Mark Saliterman.
Yeah, could do that. I think everybody has suggested that I write a book or have somebody write it, and I'll just tell them all the stories that are unbelievable. Even if you read the book, you would just say that's a lie or
that's a fiction.
Or a fiction. The stories are incredible that I have that hard to believe.
So what's the most unbelievable story you could tell us?
Oh, gosh. I would really have to think about it. We'll maybe get back to that. Something will come into my mind.
Okay, if something comes up, feel free to interrupt me.
Yeah, my kids and grandkids know more about those stories than I do, but was doing work with the Cargill family and Waycross and McMillan's, a real estate deal when I was at the CPA firm downtown. I was very young. I was 24, and I met the owner of Cargill. I think his name was Fru McMillan. We got along pretty well. He was certainly older than I was, and the next thing I know, he called me up and wanted me to be the manager of the Suburbs band. Beej Cheney, I believe, was going to be or was his son-in-law. And he wanted me to manage the band from the numbers side. And the next thing I know, I got a check in the mail made out to me from Polygram Records in Chicago, I think, for $1 million.
What?
And this was back in the mid-'70s. And I go, what the heck's going on here? I call him up and I go, I got this check for $1 million. And he said, yeah, Polygram signed an agreement with the Suburbs to send them on tour. That's the signing bonus. And then I'm going to buy them a vehicle, tour bus. They're going to tour for a year, and if they make it, that's great. And if they don't, I think the deal was that his son-in-law was going to not quit the band, but create a different career path where he's going to be a banker or something like that.
Wow.
And so I got this check for $1 million and put it in the bank account, and everything was fine. And then Polygram sent me a 1099 for $1 million. And I'm going, how do I explain this on my taxes? So we had to fix a few things, but things like that happened frequently. Weird things.
No, that's incredible.
Yeah, we went to I went to a closing and on behalf of a client, and back in the 70s, and I don't know how it happened, but I walked out of the closing with a check for $4.5 million, and it wasn't mine. And I'm thinking, $4.5 million, my name, I could... what could I do with that? And you start to think about, Caribbean or whatever. And, but obviously I didn't do that. And I think that I told the story to the guy that the $4.5 million belonged to, and he became obviously he trusted me after that, trusted me before, but we actually did a lot of things together after that, and partnership. Using his money. I didn't have any money, so I needed to use other people's money.
But at some point you had enough money, but you still choose to have partnership to limit exposure and risks.
Yeah, I started out very poor. Had a couple of $1,000, and but developed partnerships and other people's money, and then they made money, and then I would get a percentage for doing things and making profit. Slowly but surely, it kept mushrooming as I did more deals, and pretty soon I didn't need partners, but I still wanted partners.
Still do that.
even today, there are very few things that I buy without having partners involved.
I like having partners all the time. I feel it's great.
Yeah. And they appreciate making money and appreciate my efforts. So when the next deal comes along, it's pretty easy to just make some phone calls and get a lot of money.
Yeah. So business has a lot of rules. Is there one rule that you break all the time?
No, I'm pretty boring. I don't know if I...
So if you have like not like laws and like your own rules, like you have certain set of rules you follow when you do business, and like you have a rule like don't invest in cannabis business, but you break it all the time.
You know, I have a rule that I don't invest in the stock market, but I don't break that rule. So I'm trying. I think if I have a rule, pretty much stick to it. I guess the one that comes to mind is we did a real estate deal, financed a home that I shouldn't have financed. My gut says I shouldn't have financed. Somehow I got talked into it, and we lost money on it. Not a terrible amount, but we did lose money on it. And so I violated my rule of follow my gut and don't get talked out of it. And this was fairly recent.
What type of deal was that? It was business, real estate?
It was a real estate deal, property that maybe could have been subdivided. Turned out it couldn't, and bad financing and just a lot of bad things. But the rule is I abandoned my gut and got my ass kicked for it.
So what are your top 5 rules for business? First one, follow your gut.
Follow your gut. Only do business with things that excite you. You have to have a passion. If it's just a business and you don't have a passion or an ability or something, you're probably not going to do very well at it. You really need to embrace that thing, because that's how you succeed. You know, it's I get people saying, I want to buy a business. And I go, no, you don't. You want to buy something that you love. And because you got to go to work and you got to do it and you got to be involved in it. And, you know, just having a business that doesn't excite you is not the way to succeed. But if you have a love of it, your chances are much better. You see better, you focus, you don't get burned out. That's probably one of the top rules other than the gut.
Yeah. So if we put up a billboard for every young entrepreneur to see, and it has a one line on it, what should it be?
Create a team. You need those experts to help you. You know, you can be a great football player, but without a team, you're nothing. And, if you think about all the businesses that are out there, how many of them really are made up of one guy? It's made up of a team. Vision Bank is made up of a great team. They're a lot younger than I am, but they're a great team because they learn and they listen and they operate like a team. They support one another. I just don't know how many guys are out there with, I'm sure there's some guys that have an idea and bring it forward and they're single guys, but even the billionaires, they built a team around them. They didn't do it just one guy. And I'm not saying the team has to be huge, but start with a team of 5, yeah. And it doesn't have to be that they are owners. You just need, you can't do it all yourself. Because if you start doing the accounting, who's going to do the sales? And if you do the sales, who's going to do the accounting? Who's going to pay the bills? And if you try to do it all, it's pretty hard to do and build a business.
Then you don't have to sleep at all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you have to work.
Not a problem, yeah. I mean, even guys that are in the restaurant business, they have a good idea maybe, but gosh, they need managers and all the people to handle the employees. And if he's the chef, he still needs everybody else to operate properly. Not going to go to a restaurant where the service is terrible and even though the food is good. I might, but most people
won't.
Exactly.
Mark, I met you for lunch a few years ago with Rafik, and you were working on something, mentoring program for entrepreneurs, people trying to start business. How's it working out? Is it still a thing, or?
Yeah, we're still, we're not getting as many people as we thought we were going to get. And we offered financing. We offered the team.
Okay. But how do you approach these people? What's your way of finding them?
It was disappointing. The intent was to help disadvantaged people who couldn't get bank loans. We've done one that I mentioned, which was the dog grooming. We did a video company, a black man in Tennessee. Those two succeeded. We did one for a gal who was bringing ginger powder from Africa to create ginger beer here.
Okay.
And that didn't work so well. So we tried to reach out to different government agencies and talk to them and tell them that we're here and available to help people.
So it is nonprofit?
It is nonprofit.
So people, if you are looking and if you're in disadvantaged position and looking to get financing, reach out to Mark.
Yeah.
That's his way giving back to community and help people who doesn't have, other possibility or means to get it started, but they're excited and they have a business that they love. And
it's kind of like Shark Tank with a heart. And so what we do is sometimes we just lend the money. Other times we become involved in the business and we take an ownership. And then that ownership, hopefully the business does well. And then the percentage that we take for ownership will create more money that goes back into the nonprofit. So and then we can do more for other people.
So money you make, you don't take it to yourself. You invest it back to your community. So it's really nice thing.
It all belongs in the nonprofit. I do not take any money for myself or my time or anything like that. We do it to help people. When people come to the bank and they get a hard no from the bank, depending on who they are, they might get a yes from us. If they are not disadvantaged, they might get a yes from me personally, but we try to create the nonprofit for people who don't have the same opportunities that
some of us do.
Some of us do, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like social media, like YouTube, Instagram, is a great way to promote it, because if you're in position like these young people and for you to find out about your nonprofit and opportunities, it could be hard. But all the people on the internet and like click, oh, Mark.
Yeah, well, we had a website up for a while. And
what's the website name? Is it up yet or?
No, we took it down. The name was terrible. It was called In Need of Capital.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't.
But we did have a website, and we weren't getting very many plays on it. And so we reached out to government agencies like DEED and Department of the State of Minnesota.
Sure.
And then, of course, whatever came through the bank that got rejected. And then we spread the word. We met with a lot of people, and there's a company that provides mentoring, but no capital. So we reached out to them and said, well, we're a perfect fit. You mentor the people, we'll figure out the capital and things like that. And we also, I personally invested in a venture capital fund and said that, if you find somebody that's smaller and needs help, send them to me. And pretty much everything I did didn't generate very many requests.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of this program?
Probably the easiest way would be to send an email to mark@bankwithvision.com.
And we'll have a nice banner right here. Mark,
there you go.
Vision, and you can send the email.
Yeah, that would be the easiest thing to start it out. And we do have one gentleman that has been sending us maybe a deal a month from the black community, and It's working out pretty well. We're looking at coffee beans from Africa. We're looking at spices from Guatemala. I just visited a group that's doing signs for the Muslim community. Needs a little bit of capital and a little bit of equipment. So we're getting a few. But
it's sort of helping a lot.
Yeah. Well, a few here is, it's we've done I don't know, 4 or 5, and 2 haven't worked out very well. But we knew that was going to be the case, and if we just succeed 3 out of 5 times, that's pretty good. And pretty good. 3 people creating businesses that employ others, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Mark. I didn't know you also in modeling business. I just saw a commercial of you doing sports. Is that how you stay in shape? What's your routine?
I work out because I'm up early. Work out every day for an hour. Then once a week I have a gymnastics coach who's willing to tolerate me at my age. And then and I only do a half hour because I probably would fall apart if I did an hour. And then I do an hour of weight training and a half hour of some special stretching type of activities with a trainer that is different than other trainers, really knows what he's doing. So that's pretty much it. And then I try and throw in some other stuff along the way, running and biking and
swimming.
Swim, yeah.
So at what stage in your life you decide, well, I got to do a lot of sports? Were you doing it from the very beginning and just stayed active?
I probably started working out daily 10, 15 years ago. Gymnastics, I started a couple years ago.
How old you were a couple years ago?
So I started gymnastics when I was 73.
That's amazing.
Pretty funny watching the kids in the gymnastics class see me there, and their ages are 4 to 13, and a little embarrassing when they watch me, and then you see them turn their back to you, and you're talking about what this old dude doing there, and then they turn around and they smirk or smile or laugh, and it's a little embarrassing, but it's okay.
I think it's fine. I think you just laugh with them, just...
Well, my coach says there aren't very many people that he knows that are doing it.
Yes.
I was working out one day, and this guy came and watched me and applauded, and I was, I met him, and turns out that he was the head coach for University of Men's gymnastics team, and he had nice things to say about me. He also said, "I'm not going to do what you're doing," and that made me feel pretty good.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I enjoy sports. Yeah.
So, which is your favorite sport to watch, or do you even watch the sports?
My favorite sport is actually. For me, it's gymnastics because I'm doing something that I don't think anybody I know can do at my age. I keep asking around, and occasionally there's somebody at 40, 45 that might do a little bit of it, but there aren't very many people doing it. And it's pretty tough on the body. I mean, you need to be in pretty good shape to stand on your hands and do rings and high bar and things like that. And I'm not very good at it, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not...
Probably is better than, not all, maybe the most 75-year-olds.
Yeah, I'm sure there's maybe 50 people that are nuts as I am, maybe.
Around the world?
I tried to go when I was out of town in San Diego to a gymnastics class, and I went in there and talked to them, and they said, I want to talk about a gymnastics class, and they said, well, who's it for? And I go, me, and they go, I think you need to leave. They were polite, showed me the door quickly, but it's very hard to find a coach or somebody that will spend the time with an old dude. But we've developed a very good friendship. And in fact, tomorrow I'm going to work out, and he was in France, and we're going to go to lunch, and he's going to tell me all about his trip.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So also another thing, you got a lot of things going on for you, and you might get stressed at some time. What's your way to decompress? Do you like
Sports?
sports?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just turn your mind off and just do the sports?
Yeah, it's lifting weights, doing running, watching TV, doing elliptical, watching TV. So I have music in my ears and the TV on at the same time.
And you don't pay any attention to both of them?
And
Or?
I probably am just not paying attention to either.
So it's just a distraction?
But it's just it's noise in your ears, and you just do your thing. And sometimes I think I close my eyes occasionally, and I think my wife thinks I'm actually sleeping while I'm working out. She's changing the channels and doing all kinds of things, and I've got my eyes closed, and I don't know, I have to ask her if she thinks I'm really sleeping. I know I'm capable of sleeping standing up.
How do you know that?
I've done it. Yeah, you just put me on a wall, and I could fall asleep.
I'm curious, like, what kind of music do you listen to?
80s.
80s.
Yeah, I'm a rock and roll.
Anything 80s.
80s. I listen to it all, but mostly 70s, 80s, rock and roll.
So what's the number one hit song from 80s, according to Mark?
I don't know if I have a number one. I grew up with the Beatles, and that would be my artist. I don't know if I have one song that's better than the others.
It's like asking, what's your favorite child?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a bunch of different songs. I've got a tape of all of them.
But do you have a playlist?
Yeah, I've got a playlist. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what's next for Vision Bank and for Mark? Any projects you're working on, you're super excited, you want to share?
Yeah, so Vision Bank is almost at its projected size. We've got another 30 million to grow, and I think we want to stay right around 300 million in size. My latest project is trying to open up a bank for the Islamic community using Sharia-compliant financing.
That's exciting.
Good for the community. I mean, it's hard to, if you're a Muslim and you want to follow your Islamic faith and you don't believe in interest paid or interest earned, you need a different playing field. And it's not that much different. So you change the forms a little bit and use different words than interest. That's probably the thing that I've worked on most for the last 8 months. Yeah, so awesome. That's pretty much it for me. I mean, now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do next. But
write a book?
No, I don't think so.
Somebody else write a book for you?
Yeah, if somebody was qualified, we could come up with a lot of stories that.
I'm sure there's people out there who's
yeah,
qualified.
Maybe, yeah, but it's a funny thing about being an accountant. There's a lot of jokes about lawyers and stuff, but there aren't many jokes about accountants, and you probably can't even think of one. But the most important thing to know is if you make fun about an accountant, you're also talking about picking on somebody who does your income tax and makes sure that you pay more than you should. So you got to be a little careful on criticizing those guys. It's might think twice before you have an accounting joke. Could be an interesting book. I'm just not sure how many people would actually believe it.
I'll get a copy.
Okay,
absolutely.
I got one copy.
I always enjoy our conversations.
It's not a problem if I sell one copy for $100,000 to you. I'm okay. Thank you. That's good.
Oh, now we're doing sales. Okay.
Yeah. You didn't mention that.
No, it's fine. I could buy it, Mark. No, you have to buy mine as well.
Oh.
It's only a little more than 100, but
I can finance the purchase.
now I know accountant. I know CPA too.
Yeah.
Thank you for the podcast.
Sure.
It was a lot of fun, and I do a lot of things. Have good stories about business. Inspiration. You're working out. You stay sharp, active, and also you help community. And you pick projects that not only about money, but also have meaning, like your latest project. So you just kind of building up your legacy, which is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.